guys, good morning or good evening, wherever you are, and welcome. This is my third attempt at going live, and today what we're going to do is make a transitional soup. So the idea is that it's going to transition from winter into spring, and it's raining. It's super moist here, it's damp, it's foggy, it's beyond anything. So the idea is that we're going to make a soup that's a little more diuretic in that it actually removes dampness from the body and a little bit of heat, but not a lot. So I'm going to add a bit of ginger as well to warm it up. So come with me as I take out the ingredients for today. I did buy them fresh yesterday. Hi for everyone joining. We're going to make a transition soup today. It's basically a spring soup, and for spring usually ingredients include stuff like barley, beans. I'll show you, but come with me to take out some of the ingredients. We're going to do the fresh ones first. So I'm doing a winter melon and corn. Wait. Oh, can you still see me? No. So I'm not very good at this thing. All right, here. Come with me as I get my ingredients, and then I'll show you how this works. Okay, we have winter melon, corn, and pork. So we're doing a pork version today. Here's the pork. The corn and the winter melon. I'm going to show you some other fresh ingredients that I got for the soup. All right, so primarily there's not going to be a lot of veggies and more herbally based, meaning, so we're going to go with the winter melon. So this is the winter melon I got yesterday. You'll know winter melon's pretty good in that, first of all, it's still pretty pale. As it goes over time, it'll dry out and yellow, but it's still quite firm. So that's what you're looking for when you want to buy a winter melon, and you want to keep it with the skin on. And I'll explain why later. So this is a pretty small one. It's going to be for a soup of about 6 to 8 people. Corn, pretty basic. All right. And then we've got pork backbone today. So you can go with anything you want. That's pork, pork shank, pork ribs, pork leg, but these were on sale, and a pork backbone is like $4 Canadian, so super cheap for a soup. The thing I'm going to actually do now is going to, I think it'd be quite neat to just look at the cost of the soup given all the ingredients, so I'm going to add that up and put that on the post later. Ginkgo bilobas. These are good for this winter melon soup as well. So you can buy them pre-made or in the shell. I tend to buy them in packages like this and just drop it in. I'm probably going to use about half a pack today. And lotus seeds. So these you can get fresh or you can get dried. Today I'm going to use fresh ones. They've been also removed of the shell, and just like this. I'm probably going to use about half a pack as well. And a whole bunch of barley. I'm going to use raw barley. It looks like this. I've used them before. Barley's really good for weather like this. Damp, moist, you want to get rid of all that moisture in your body and moisture just coming out through the air. Barley's your friend. So barley, I'm going to use raw barley, but I also have cooked barley. So this is like popcorn barley. I'm just going to drop a few in as well. This is actually really good, usually used in like desserts, some medicine. So I'm going to use the combination of the cooked and the raw barley, which would be quite neat. I personally like eating barley at the bottom. It's almost like rice or eats like a meal. And I'm going to add that in. The other thing we're adding in are beans. Beans are amazing ingredient for spring. And the reason is because it really helps get rid of that dampness in the body. So red beans, yellow bean, mung bean, black eye beans, any beans that you have in your pantry essentially do work. So today I'm going to go with black eyed beans. You can pre-soak them, but today I'm just going to be lazy and drop everything in. So I'm going to lay everything out and show you what I'm going to do. One more. I'm going to add some red dates, and because the winter melon is a little bit cooling, I'm going to balance that off with a bit of ginger. So I've said this before in my other lives, in that like I kind of make it up as I go along, based on, first of all, the veggie base and the meat base. And then I'll kind of add on some of the herbs. But I think ginger would be a nice pairing for the winter melon because it'll help offset some of the coolness of the winter melon and not make it so low, as people say. So let me get some ginger. I'll be right back. You can watch me fetch my ginger. All right, here we go. All right, so I think we have everything. So what we're gonna do, this is going to be a different soup in that I'm actually going to use, you can see right there, my thermal pot today. I'll bring it over and explain. And the reason why I'm going to use a thermal pot looks like this. So it's actually, for those who are curious what the thermal cooker is, you can see here, look. It's actually a pot inside a vacuum. Here's the pot. This is the outer pot that we're going to cook in. Once it's boiled, I'm just going to drop it into this insulated thermal pot on the outside, close it, and then it kind of just cooks on its own or bubbles on its own, which is fantastic. So you don't have to watch me watching my soup cook like last time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep up until the soup actually goes into the pot, maybe close. And then I'm going to just set it and kind of just leave it, and then it'll just kind of cook on its own because it's insulated. And the heat rises, right? And so the idea is that within the soup, it'll continue to cook. And that's the great thing about thermal pots. So I'll show you how this is done. But you know what? Great point in that. Let's take it out first. So you want to cook this with this on the stovetop, not this. This is plastic base, but you want to cook it with this pot. We'll move it here. And then this later when we're done cooking the soup. Okay. I just have to remind myself not to rush through these things because I feel like I don't want to waste people's time, but yet at the same time, it's still a process that I need to get through. The first thing we're going to do is, because I like saving time and I'm super time efficient, I'm going to start boiling my water to blanch the meats. So this is the first time I'm going to be prepping meats differently. The last live, I did everything in one pot. That means I fried the fish together and I added it in. But this time what we're gonna do is separate the blanching. So you're gonna prepare the meat separately and then put it into the pot. Let me show you. Okay, so we're gonna use a separate pot, any pot, to blanch your meats. And I know there's a post where there's an argument about whether you blanch it in cold water first or in boiling water. To be honest with you, it doesn't make a difference to taste. The only thing that scientifically that was found was that by putting it in cold water first, you let some of the internal parts of the bone, especially if there's marrow, come out first, or the dirt or the blood, it'll come out first as it dissolves into the water, and then so that you get more of the impurities out. That's really the only essential thing. Whereas if you drop it in boiling water right away, it just cooks the whole meat through. In the end, to be honest with you, taste is so subtle. Do what you feel is best. I don't think there's a right or wrong way here. So I'm gonna fill it with just enough water to cover the meat. We're gonna get that going first. So just hold on. Oh, I'm still here. Adding water. All right. Not enough. No. Why don't you come with me? It's a bit easier that way, and I can continue talking while we're here. So for those joining, I'm making a winter melon transitional soup today. It's going to be a spring soup. So the idea of a spring soup is that it's supposed to help you remove dampness. So remove a little bit of the heat, but remove mostly dampness. So the ingredients I'm using today are more diuretic. Beans, barley, a little bit of ginger. Those are your key ingredients for anything that is spring soup based. So these go great with melons, chayotes, winter melon. I was looking for old cucumber, but couldn't find it at the supermarket. Popular in Hong Kong. But any type of melons are great ingredients for spring, and usually paired with pork. That's where melons tend to pair with. So this is what the soup design is really about, right? So I'll start with condition and weather, and I'll think of, all right, let's do a melon-based soup. And so with the melon base, then I'm thinking, all right, pork usually goes best with melons. So I'm gonna get a pork versus chicken, but you can do chicken as well. Ooh, sorry. Come with me as I put this on the stove and, oops, this is not gonna work. I'm gonna put this on the stove and start blanching this. All right, let's boil this. Okay, so remember I talked about, oh, sorry, soup design, I'm sorry. This is getting all over the place. So we're gonna go with a pork with melons, that's the pairing. And then because it's a spring soup, what you want to do is then pair with your beans, your lotus seeds, lotus root's a great one as well, and barley. So all those ingredients are great for spring. So that's how you can think of soup design. weather first, usually conditions, if anyone's sick, if it's too hot, if it's cold, winter, if there's something going on. And then I start with the veggie base and the meat base sometimes, and then the herbs will come on top. But you can start backwards from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective with the herbs first and then add on everything else. All right, so what I'm gonna do is now blanch my pork. So I got pork backbone today. They're one of the cheaper cuts of meat versus pork ribs. Pork shank is pretty cheap as well. Pork leg is actually affordable. So to be honest with you, when I go shopping at the supermarket, I actually look for what's cheapest or on sale, either from a chicken or from a pork perspective. All right, so come with me. I'm going to start blanching this. And I know there's an argument. Do you blanch in cold water or boiling water? To be honest, I don't think there's a difference in taste. Hold on. Oh, where's my tongs? It's not good. Hold on. Oh my, I seem to have lost my tongs. Ah, here they are. All right. So I'm gonna drop these in first into cold water, FYI. So today I'm gonna do this in cold water just because you're here, it's easier. Why not? Oh, the other thing I forgot. Did you know, this is my little salt wand. Did you know that salt, and this is a scientific fact, that salt actually reduces the boiling point of water, right? And so if you salt it a little bit, and this is just really also to get some of the fire out of the bones, if you salt your water, it's not gonna hit 100 as it boils, it's gonna be less. And then your soup just boils faster. So there's a bit of time-saving tip there. All right, so for those joining, today I'm making a winter melon transition spring soup. Great for spring and summer, not bad. It's great for spring because of the ingredients I'm gonna be using, and I'll explain that in a bit again. All right, so very simply, very easily, drop in all my pork bones here, just like that. I'm not gonna cover, I'm just gonna let this boil, and that's it. All right, so easy. It's just boiling or bathing or blanching. And the whole purpose of blanching is to eliminate, so when they chop the bones, there's gonna be a lot of little bits and debris on the edges. That's to remove that, first of all. And the second one is to get rid of any of the extra blood. The fat, that's actually the big thing to boil out too. Pork doesn't tend to be as fatty depending on the cut, depending on pork ribs as well, but that's the whole point, is also to eliminate some of the fat. All right, so next we're going to, oh hi, everyone's waving, that's so cute. Hi, I didn't see it, but hello. Let me take out in portions of my herbs. I think that will help set the tone of what's the herbal base that I'm using today. Let me show you. Okay, so one of the first things that I'm going to use is ginger. Ginger is actually fantastic to help increase your qi and increase blood circulation. So I'm gonna get my butcher's knife. And for those just joining, ginger is actually a really nice warming to offset the cool of the winter melon. I don't want it that cool yet. It's still spring. It was 8 degrees this morning when I ran. And so the ginger is going to help warm it up a bit so that it's not a completely cool soup. So ginger is actually fantastic for this, right? If you feel that the soup is going to be too cooling or your drink is going to be too cooling, pop in a few slices of ginger. A great one that people use this for is for winter melon. Like my dad hates it when it's too cool. So we'll put in a bit of ginger for that. So that's what ginger's for. So let's do, oh, you have to watch this. That's what the point of the live is, isn't it? All right, let's do like 4 pieces of ginger. And the whole point is because my kids don't really like ginger that much. For them, it's too spicy. Okay, I'm just gonna save this for later. All right, the other piece, so you can watch me as I lay out my herbs. I talked about this too. The red dates are just to give it a little bit of sweet flavor, but also it's a bit warming. So it's very complementary to the ginger. So here I'm just gonna use, 2, 4, 5 dates. So 3, 4, 5. And what you want with dates, what you want with dates is a little tip here, is dates that are, first of all, seeded. You don't want the seeds inside dates. And the reason is because dates are warm and the seeds are very fiery. In Cantonese, it's called ho cho. And so the whole idea is actually you want to buy dates that are, well, if they're not seeded, seed them yourself, like remove the seed and just have them like this. So these ones that are pre-cut and pre-seeded are perfect for lazy people like me. But you can buy them whole. And I have had the experience where you buy them actually fresh as well. Dried, but with the seed. And all you do is just take a pair of scissors, cut them and remove the seed. All right, let's keep building the soup base here. All right, so we've got the ginger, our red dates, fantastic. I talked about using ginkgo, right? So ginkgo is actually very complementary to winter melon. And they're also great for dispelling water. Okay, obviously I didn't cut this very well because it's not opening. But also great for dispelling water from the body and the dampness. But you don't want to eat too much. So the thing with ginkgo is that there is a certain amount of poison. I can't remember what the name is. All right, let's go from the top. In these. So the idea is to not eat too much. And you want to eat it without, if you do eat it, you want to eat it without the seed. I'm not really good at this. What is going on? Hold on. I got this. Can't be that hard to open, right? All right, here we go. So I'm gonna use about half of these. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about with the ginkgos. So this is what a ginkgo biloba looks like. When you cut it open, oh, you can't see here. When you cut it open, in the middle, there's a seed. There's like a middle piece. This one, I can't see it here. It's gone. Let's do another one. There's this little middle piece here that, right there, that you can and cannot remove, up to you. Sometimes when, there it is. So you'll see a little seed like that, right? So normally in desserts, I will remove them, but for the sake of soup, I'm just gonna keep them in, which is fine because it's a lot of work to remove all of them. All right, so for the ginkgos, I'm gonna probably put about a handful. I originally said half, I lied. This is what happens when I start doing my soup design. I kind of make it up as I go along sometimes, just based on proportions. And I promise you when I post it, it's gonna be exact and it's gonna be a true recipe, but it's very much I go with the flow based on feeling what the ingredient volume is. And that's just how I cook, right? And so the next one is lotus seeds. Lotus seeds you can get fresh like this. They last for about 1 to 2 weeks in the fridge. Let's open it. So you can't see me. And so you can also get dried lotus seeds. And these are fantastic. Complementary as well to winter melon. So if you're gonna go with a winter melon base, winter melon essentially is the hero of the soup. And so being the hero, we don't want to dilute the flavors too much or outdo it. And so what I do is with winter melon soup or any type of melon soup, I tend to add more seeds and more herbs rather than more vegetables. And the meat is just there kind of to give it a little more flavor. But the melon really is the hero of the soup. So lotus seeds, I'm going to add about, I'll show you, I don't know, 15, let's say, like this. Something happy, not that many. Okay, so we're setting up the soup base now. Oh, I forgot. One more thing, dried scallops. Dried scallops, dried shrimp, dried octopus, those three, any of the dried seafood are also very flavorful for soups. And so this is something else that I'll do. Hold on 1 second as I get my dried scallops. I'm gonna use the baby ones today again. You can watch me as I run over there. By the way, I keep most of my dried seafood in the fridge in cans like this this is how I store them. So dried seafood, dried scallops actually. You don't need a lot. If I was doing bigger scallops, I might do like 3 or 4. But for this one, I'm just gonna do like maybe, I don't know, a little bit of handful. This gives it a little bit of flavor. They're super tasty, savory already, like in their own right. So here, you can watch as I still build the soup base. I'm still building right now the herbal base for the soup. There's going to be quite a bit because the hero of the soup is really the winter melon, and everything else here is complementary. Dried barley. This stuff is amazing. So this dried barley, fried barley, and the yellow beans, no, these are black-eyed beans, are going to be the key spring ingredient that I'm using for spring. And these ingredients help dispel dampness from the body. They help get rid of all that water. And essentially, actually, the physical mechanic is that it helps you go pee more. That's essentially it. That's what these ingredients do. And so that's how it kind of gets rid of the body, gets rid of water in the body. And that's why I'm using these ingredients paired with the winter melon. Fantastic combination for spring. So let's keep building the soup base. I talk about dried barley. I really like dried barley as part of the meal. So what I'm going to do is maybe add a little bit more. So let's do maybe, I don't know, 2 tablespoons, these big spoons, whatever we call them. I promise you, when I post it, it's going to be more accurate. It's not going to be like this fly by the seat of your pants kind of cooking. All right, so we're almost done. Fried barley, same thing. This is I bought yesterday, and I love fried barley as well. Oh, just to let you know, raw barley is cooling. Fried barley is a little warming. And so this is cooling as well, which is why I'm adding some more ginger and complementing it with a little bit of fried barley because they're actually also very tasty. They look like this. Aren't they cute? They look like little rice puffs. So I'm just probably going to use a tablespoon. Again, eyeballing this. All right, you can watch me as I build my herbal base right there. Ginger, dried scallops, red dates, ginkgo biloba, fresh lotus seeds, dried barley, fried barley, and the last one's going to be black-eyed beans. Any beans will do for a winter melon spring soup. If you've got red beans, go with them. Azuki beans, Azuki red beans, go with them. Yellow beans, green beans, black-eyed beans, black beans, any beans will do, honestly. All beans actually are also diuretic in that they actually dispel dampness from the body and they make you go pee. That's the mechanics of beans. All right, so we're gonna use black-eyed beans as well. Probably about 2 tablespoons. And then I'm gonna show you the whole soup base here. I think that's it. I've got everything. Okay, great. So let's look and then I'll explain again for those recent just joining. So here we go. This is the herbal base for the winter melon soup. So essentially I'm using ginger. Oh, my pork is boiling. See? We're gonna stop it. I was too excited about setting those ingredients. Anyway, okay, you can watch me as I take them out. Here. So now that they're boiling, I'm sorry. I'm still very new to this live thing. So I feel like I'm not very organized can you see me? I feel like I'm not very organized or coordinated and I'm just kind of running all over the place. You can see my bike right there. We're packing it to go. So anyway, all right, so I've turned off the stove and what I'm going to do is just remove the pork bones from the water. You can strain it. You can pour it out if you want. You can rinse it in water. Some people will also rinse in water just to make sure it's super clean. Your choice. I'm not going to do that today. Sometimes I do, depends. And you can see all the foam, right? Let's come closer. So all the foam that's come out of the pork bones that would have gone into the soup. And you've also got like bits of debris floating around, which is why we blanch them ahead of time. And again, do you blanch or not? To blanch or not to blanch is also another question on the table. Some people do not. And you can just use a foam oil scooper to scoop off all the junk that's coming out of the soup, but completely up to you on whether you want to blanch or not. I tend to blanch most meats, chicken and pork, but that's up to you. So we're gonna leave this here for now as we get the soup prepared. All right, sorry, coming back to the herbal base. Oh my gosh. All right, so the herbal base. This is going to be for the winter melon soup. For those joining, it's complimentary. That's the whole idea. Ginger is going to warm it up. Same with the red dates. Raw barley, cooked barley, black-eyed beans, dried scallop, ginkgo, and lotus seeds. And again, you can use these dried as well. I do have a dried version. Sorry. I need to take a photo of this. This is the life of a content creator. I don't have my other camera around, my other phone around, and I need to charge my GoPro anyway. So I was like, all right, let's do a photo. So I usually do tend to do photos of my ingredients just so that I can also post it on the blog. So you'll have to pardon me as I quickly take this photo. Okay, great. And I need to charge the GoPro anyway. All right. So that's the soup base. So what we're gonna do now, and because I like being time efficient, I'm gonna start boiling my soup water right there. That soup is going to be my soup pot. This soup was the blanching soup. That soup is gonna go into that pot, which is the thermal pot. To save time, I'm gonna start boiling the water. Again, there's a question. Do you drop in your ingredients when the water's boiling, or do you drop it in when it's not? Your choice, really depends sometimes. But for melons, I will drop it in when it's boiling so that it cooks right away. And stays together. That's the whole point, right? I'm not going to let it just bubble around and let it disintegrate into the soup. But I will explain how I'm going to cut up the winter melon in just a little bit. So come with me as I add water to this. So I'm just going to add cold water to this soup pot right here. There we go. I will fill half. That's more than enough. By the time you put in all the bones and all the melons, you're gonna find that it actually gets to like about 3/4 full, which is a lot. So right now I'm adding cold water to my soup pot. This is the thermal soup pot. Basically this is gonna go inside my induction thermal cooker and it will cook by itself. I will show you in a bit. Looking good. So that's about right in terms of how much water I'll put. So this is for my family of 4. We'll probably have 2 bowls each, including all the stuff. All right, so put it here and set that on high heat. And we're gonna let that boil as I prepare my melon and all the other ingredients. So I will show you what's gonna happen right now. All right, just getting organized. See, if I was filming normally, I would just diddle doddle, but now that I'm on live, it's just something that's new and quite unique that I have to be constantly, I feel like talking, or maybe not, that's just me. All right, the winter melon. These days when you buy from the supermarket, in Canada at least, they're pre-cut, pre-packaged, pre-weighed as well. If you get them in Hong Kong, actually you'll find them as like a large piece and you can actually ask the vendor how much you want. It's fantastic. So you want this slice, smaller, bigger, but here you have to pretty much buy them pre-packed. And you're looking for ones that are still white in color. They've not dried out on the surface and they're still hard, okay? This is how you can tell that your winter melon is still pretty fresh and usable. I bought this yesterday. I don't know when it was packaged, but this is how you can tell and test that your winter melon is actually in good shape and usable. And so what I'm gonna do is quickly rinse it with water. The reason is because I'm not sure who's cut it last and where. And so that's something just I do out of habit. So just stay with me as I rinse real quick. All right, so the winter melon, I'll be honest with you. Some people cut the skin first and they put the skin in as well. And some people, don't cut the skin. Completely up to you. For me today, I'm going to probably remove the skin. The skin of the winter melon is also diuretic. That's the interesting thing. It helps dispel dampness. So if you want spring soup, winter melon is a fantastic one combined with the beans and the barley. And so that's why you keep the skin. So I will always suggest if you're gonna make a winter melon soup, keep the skin. If you don't want to eat it, I'll show you how you can do it. Just watch as I do it now. If you don't like eating the skin as part of the melon, cut it off first, okay? So hold on. All right, remember what I said about no fear on the butcher knife? So what you want to do is, in this case, just set it flat and peel off the skin, like that. I will keep the skin. The skin's going into the soup, guaranteed, right? For winter, a spring soup, we want the skin. So here. And I will cut it a bit thicker into the flesh so that these are the soft pieces, right? And so this is what you want to keep. This will go into the soup. Don't worry about how it looks, shape, size. You're not going to be plating with the skin anyway, right? So this is how we're going to prep the winter melon. And the reason why I am cutting the skin, sometimes I don't cut the skin, to be honest with you. I will keep the skin on. Oh, let's see. Sometimes when I cut the winter melon, I will keep the skin on so it doesn't disintegrate into the soup. Personal preference on what you want to do. Today I'm going to remove the skin just because I feel like it. But sometimes I keep it on, to be honest with you. And all right, there we go. And then I'll just like, oh, you can watch. Sometimes I'll just like quarter it with the skin on. And it's actually quite nice because the melon softens, but the skin's still hard. And so what happens is that you can actually fish it out and it doesn't really melt. But for the purpose of today, I'm going to remove the skin. And like I said, the skin is, from a TCM, traditional Chinese medicine perspective, the skin is fantastic for dispelling water, removing dampness. This is actually one of the key ingredients along with the barley and the beans. All right, so let's finish chopping this. I just realized it's 9:30. All right, let's see. Oh, the other thing that you could think about is removing seeds, like this section. I'll show you how I might. Let me think about it. Let's see what it looks like as I cut this. So big chunks. Yeah, I might remove this. So you can remove some of the inside seeds if you want. They're super soft, your choice, right, like this, right? So you can just get into here and remove that if you'd like, and just keep the outer section. I am very conservative in how much I'm removing. All right, and then what you want to do is just have big chunks. Maybe I'll have this. So chunks of this size actually are pretty good, for me at least, like that. Some people can cut them smaller. You can cube them if you're doing a quick boil. Because I know I'm doing a little bit longer boil, it's gonna be sitting, sorry about my knife. My soup is gonna be sitting in the thermal pot for a while, a few hours at least. So I know I'm going to make them a little bit bigger so they don't really melt too much. If you're doing a quick boil winter melon, this is with like ground pork, winter melon, things that you're gonna cook pretty quickly in about, you could do a quick boil in 30 minutes. I will cube these quite small. All right, so let's finish chopping this. You can watch me chop. That's the fun part, isn't it, right? Like that's the whole point of going live, right? So you can watch someone cook. Fascinating. All right, here. Again, no fear with your butcher's knife. There. So that's how I'm going to prep the winter melon. And then the other thing I'm going to prep is the corn. Corn, nice complement to winter melon, but that's it. Like I said, the winter melon is actually the hero of the soup. And so that's why we want to keep it quite simple, in that you don't want too much. Like you could throw in carrots and onions and other vegetables that also complement. But a melon soup really for me is actually just a melon soup, right? It's the herbal base that's probably really going to add to the winter melon soup more than anything. All right, so that's still boiling. I'm gonna wash this real quick and I'll show you. All right, with corn. All right, so you know what? When you're chopping corn, what happens is like the corn bits fly everywhere, okay? And like all the juices, I hate it. And today I'm not even wearing an apron. So what I'll do is very simply with corn, just break it like this. That's it. And we'll have the two halves and we'll fish it out for dinner if the kids want to eat it. But essentially it's just for flavoring as well. And I got some on the camera. All right, see what I meant about juice flying everywhere? It happens, trust me. All right, so that is looking good. Come look at the soup with me. All right, See, it's almost boiling, which is fantastic. Not bad. Actually, we can start dropping stuff in right now. You can stay with me while I'm here. Oh yeah, you can see my trainer. See, that's my other bike. Just for those who are wondering, I have a lot of bikes. And for people who are cyclists, there's an N+1 rule, which means you should have more bikes than you're supposed to have, kind of thing. So anyway, all right, here. So as it's already pretty close to boiling, I'm gonna drop in my pork. These have been blanched. That's why they look like this. Drop them into the soup like this. And I'm gonna just continue to let that soup boil. It should boil quite quickly. There we go. There, ta-da! Okay, so it looks like this, right? We're just gonna let that sit. And everything else been prepared too. So I'm gonna also drop in the winter melon and the corn. I can see that it's boiling now. So come watch me as I drop that in as well. Can you see? Okay, very good. I still getting used to this live thing. So the corn's gonna go in. The soup is almost boiling, which is fine. So I'm gonna drop this in like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna drop in the winter melon. Remember what I said about the volume of water? I only put, it's going to be about maybe 12 to 13 cups of water or 2.5 liters into the pot. But as you add the ingredients, do you see the water level rising? And this is from experience. So I kind of already know the volume of my ingredients versus the volume of water and how full it's going to get. But again, I am making a giant pot of soup, okay? This is probably going to serve, I said 6 to 8 bowls. It's probably gonna be more like 8 bowls. All right, and then we drop in the winter melon. Come watch as I do this. And it was actually not that big of a winter melon, to be honest with you. And I know this is not very efficient, but I'm getting it done. So you can be patient with me. All right, there we go. All right, that's looking good. So inside, I've got the winter melon, the corn, and the pork bones all in the base. And then now at this point, you just let it bubble for a bit, but essentially you can drop in your herbs. Ta-da! All right, so again, you can do it the ugly way and sweep everything in. For the sake of video, and that I know I'm probably going to reuse the content, I'm just going to do this like slowly. So the ginger's going to go in like that. The red dates, they will float, which are nice, like that. Wonderful. The ginkgo bilobas are also going to be on top, but they will sink eventually. Fresh lotus seeds. You can use dried ones too. I have dried ones in my pantry, but I saw that there was fresh ones, and I wanted the fresh ones today. Dried scallops. These are also amazingly delicious. Slightly cooling because they're seafood, but that's okay. Black-eyed beans. Perfect for spring. These will definitely help you go pee more. Get rid of all that dampness. Okay, there we go. I know, I'm being slow. Fried barley. Also super yummy. And dried barley. Yay! Let's just drop all that stuff in. Oh, look at that. That looks nice. All right. So this is my soup now. And so what you want to do then is just cover that. Sorry, I need to take a photo just for the sake of my post at some point. This is the life of a content creator. I'm always constantly thinking of footage. Okay. All right, so I've put that in, and all you need to do is just cover like that. That was easy, right? So let's explain again what's going on here. So you'll look at, this is the soup that's boiling now. And essentially, I'm going to mix it. That's what I forgot to do. Come with me as I get my tongs. All right, so everything's in here. Just mix that all around. Make sure all the ingredients get to the base, like that. What we've got in here is corn, the winter melon, whoopsies. The winter melon skin, don't throw that out, right? You want to keep this as well. and then the pork at the bottom. And then what we're gonna do is cover that and let that boil for 30 minutes. But you can watch me as I figure this out. We're gonna let that boil for 30 minutes. Oh, where is it? Right there. Okay. All right, so how this is gonna work is I'm gonna just demo first before I actually let it boil. So the idea is, if you can see, the idea is that this soup pot goes in there. This is the thermal pot, like this. Okay, so the thermal pot actually is an induction cooker. By design, the inside is like metal, and it's supposed to be insulated. It is insulated, actually not supposed to be. It's insulated by design, so it's a little bit thicker. So the idea is that as this boils hot, it retains the heat and it's still cooking inside. You put this into that thing, the outer thermal pot, and it will cook by itself. It maintains heat quite well. Actually, there's not a lot of heat loss on this equipment. And then I walk away and I'll come back at the end of the day and the soup's pretty much done. The idea of how it works is that for those who understand how the heat rises, so within the pot, as some of the heat, right, it'll continue to just circle within itself. Of course, it does lose very little heat in the process, but it just continuously moving like this. And so that's the great thing about a soup like this or equipment like this, in that in the morning, it's 9:40 right now, took me about 40 minutes from the live point to prepare the soup. So that's not bad. 40 minutes, and then what I'll do is let that boil for maybe about 30 minutes now, and then drop this into the thermal pot and walk away. And then I'll come back at the end of the day. I'll check on the soup, taste test, and then sometimes I'll add a bit of salt depending on what it tastes like. But that's it for today. And so, let me show you how it works then before I go, but I'm gonna continue boiling it. So it's like this. Careful of the handles. The handles are actually not hot, so just drop it in like this. You cover it like this, and then you seal. Oh, hold on. Oh, something's not sticking here. Like that. And then it seals. And then you just leave it like that for a few hours and the soup's still cooking by itself. Fantastic equipment, there's no heat. It doesn't take electricity. Basically, it's just the heat's contained within itself. So that's the beauty of a induction thermal pot. All right, but I'm not done. So I'm gonna keep boiling this for 30 minutes. As I said, there. And the whole point of the boiling of the 30 minutes is to make sure that things really soften, blend together before I put it into a thermal pot. So that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining. I will make the full video, post it on the blog, and show you the final product at the very end. Salt as you need at the very end. I won't add anything else beyond these ingredients. It is a more herbally in terms of additions, like less vegetables versus my last soup. This one's definitely got a lot more herbal base. But I will post everything, I promise. And I know we were doing like soup design today for fun, but I will have it all posted exactly in the ingredients and the portions. And that's it for today. I have to run and deliver something to my daughter right now. But thank you so much for joining my live today. And I'm sorry. Oh, do you still parboil the pork? Oh, see, I'm learning something new about how to use live. I see the questions now. I never saw them before. So hi, Sandy. I actually did pre-blanch these pork. It's right there. So I'll show you. There's, this is the water that I used to, pre-blanch the pork. And you'll see a bit of foam on top. And then what happens is actually at the end, when I'm done boiling this, the soup, I'll put it in there and I'll take it back out and put it in here for about 10 minutes to just boil again. I will also then use an oil scooper to scoop out any additional oil. The oil is going to come out for sure. There's not a lot though in pork ribs. I'm using a pork back rib today. There's not a lot of oil, but if you use more oily cuts of pork or chicken, I will take it back out here and then use an oil scooper to scoop out any oil, fats, foam that will come out as well. So yeah, I do usually for chicken, pork, I will parboil unless I'm pan frying it, right? And so I've made like a chicken coconut soup before where I actually wanted to pan fry. So I'm pre-cooking either way. But again, up to you. I know people that have pre-boiled, some people don't. You just drop it in, but just make sure you scoop out the foam because there is a bit of, with pork, there will always be foam. I can guarantee it. And it doesn't taste so nice. A lot of that grime that comes out. So definitely blanch if you have the opportunity. Yeah, but anyway, thank you everybody. If there's any more questions, I'm gonna wait like 1 minute. If you have any questions, this is a winter melon soup that I made today. You can go back on the live and watch it. Yeah, you have to scoop out the yucky stuff for sure. Like even in the water right now, you can see it's kind of gross. Right there, the foam is not pleasant. And so what I'll do is at the end, I will boil this for about 10 minutes just to make sure it's boiling, so guan. And then I will use my oil scooper to scoop out any additional foam and oil for sure. But this will come at the end. I will add this all into the full video when I make it. All right. Thanks everyone. That was fun. Thank you so much for joining me this morning or this evening. And I'll have the full recipe, including the video and the instructions on the blog later. All right. Bye. Thank you. I'll show you the final product later. Bye guys.